Right, so welcome to this evening's online open evening. It's obviously the first time we've had to do this, so this should be interesting. I've put a presentation together for you on the subject of computer-aided design, and I sort of always start introducing subjects, whether it's in class or on an open evening, by giving a little bit of a background about the tutor themselves. So just bear with me, or I'll just give you a few insights into my background, and then we'll look at the actual course material itself. Okie dokes. So my name is Mark Piątkowski. I've been calling myself Marek for the last couple of years because we have a few members of staff who are called Mark, and we've got a few members of staff who are called Mike, and it's not uncommon for myself to get called Mike. So by changing my name to the Polish variation of Mark, to Marek, it seems to have worked well for the last couple of years. So that's my name. It is an old picture, by the way, just in case you're wondering who this guy is and compared to the video camera. So I was a student here myself in 1979 to 1983. I sort of left school at Alderbrook School in Solihull and was a student in engineering for 4 years, and completed a national diploma. The college looked a little bit different back then, as you can see. When I left college, I went to work as a draftsman at a power press company in Solihull in Birmingham, and I was there for 10 years. And in that time, I was actually invited to Solihull College to do some part-time evening courses in CAD. So as you will see, right, there's some pictures here of the kinds of drawings that I used to do when I was working for my previous company. So very engineering based. This is of a crankshaft, similar to a crankshaft you might find in a car engine. There's also sort of general assemblies, as we call them, assembly drawings. And you'll notice how the colours distinguish between components on this drawing. I also took on some subcontract work for companies such as furniture companies and architects and electrical fitting companies, and this is one of the drawings I did for an architect. Then from 1992, that's when I was taken on as part-time as a lecturer, I started teaching at Solihull College, which obviously has now become Solihull College and University Centre. Okie dokes. I know this will seem a little bit off topic in a little bit of a way, but I'm very passionate about my subject, and I like to be very creative with what I do, and a lot of those influences come from my childhood. So hence why I've put a lot of those influences in front of you. Back in a day when there was only 3 TV channels, so and then as I was a teenager, discovering the world of computer gaming, and obviously the early days of what was it, in Space Invaders and all those, and then eventually PC games. These are the kind of things that I was getting into, and all these influences are big ultimate helped me to decide that computer-aided design was something I wanted to go into. I wanted to discover how were 3D games created, and following a career in engineering has sort of fulfilled those goals. Okay, so since 1992, one of the things I tried to do was to try and make engineering drawing and CAD more interesting to the students. Previously, CAD was very much about drawing brackets and plates, nothing particularly of interest, I didn't think to myself. So what I'm going to just show you are a few illustrations of topics that I've covered since my time here. As you can see, they're quite varied. Of recent, I've been working, in fact, since during the summer lockdown, I've been working on a project to do with the forthcoming moon missions, which start, well, in 2021. The rocket that you see in the top left is due to take off from the Kennedy Space Center, and it will be taking the Orion space capsule, which will be carrying the first woman and return of the man to the South Pole of the moon in 2024. So it's something I've been very interested in. And this common theme, yeah, it stems back from my childhood when I was 6 years old, in fact, watching the Apollo launches. And because of that passion, I got to meet a few guys who are have been an inspiration to myself. Patrick Moore, as you can see there, and Buzz Aldrin. Okay, computer-aided design. You may already have a clue what this is, but I'll go through it anyway. Essentially, is it drawing things on a computer which represent or communicate concept, visualization of an idea or product to be built or manufactured. Obviously, building buildings, manufacturing machines. This representation may be two-dimensional or three-dimensional. Obviously, there we are. And in this day and age, because of modern advances, CAD has become much more. So here are some typical examples. CAD can now, because of computer technology and power, can perform stress analysis on 3D models. You can perform flow simulation. This can be aerodynamic or fluid dynamic, so you can actually sort of simulate boats traveling through water as well. And obviously, it'll be of interest to mention 3D printing. We've got 2 3D printers here at the college, and virtual and augmented reality, which has become all the rage in recent years. So why would I want to do it? Because it's creative, challenging, a tangible skill, and there are so many industries that use it. So what kind of industries, you might ask? So the obvious ones: architects, design engineers, civil engineers, aerospace, automotive, mechanical engineers. But the truth is, engineering has a much more diverse field. And here are just a few, many of which you can associate with computer-aided design. In fact, in saying that, we've got we have a job vacancy for some work experience with a company that does geophysical engineering, which is mentioned there, starting in January. And as I've mentioned at the bottom, because of the National Exhibition Centre being so close, there are a number of exhibition stand design companies in the area. Another thing that is you may not have thought of is that toys and merchandising are one of the fascinating subjects for like movies and films and games, which also require somebody to work on a computer designing those products that we see on the shelves. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Oh, jewelry design. Yeah, we've got the jewelry quarter, obviously, in Birmingham, and we have computer-aided design being used there as well. What you might be thinking when you're joining a course like this, or thinking about joining a course like this, these are the kind of things that might sort of go through the students' minds. So I like computers and drawing, and enjoyed design and technology at school. That might be one of the things. I don't want to go to university, but I do want to get a skill that gets me a job as soon as possible. That's valid. I just studied another college course, but want to do something different. E.g., I studied motor vehicle studies and I want to ultimately design cars and Formula One. So this might be one of those courses that will give you the technical skills prior to joining, doing a foundation diploma and doing a degree course. I did the foundation diploma and loved CAD so much, I want to do it as a job rather than go to university. I didn't like the assignments in 3 that much. And we do occasionally, we've got roughly about 100 students doing foundation diploma. And this year, I believe we've got about 2 who dropped down to do the CAD course because they enjoyed it more than sticking with the extended diploma they were planning to do. So it is an option. I want to do something that's more practical and creative rather than to have to remember, then write assignments about what I've learned. That's a valid reason. I want to go to university, but I don't feel ready yet. I'd like to take a year out of the kind of education I had at school and do something more practical. Then maybe carry on my education at higher level afterwards. Incidentally, one of the things I should have mentioned right at the beginning, you may want to make some notes and ask me questions at the end. There is a Q&A section for you, and you can enter your questions into the chat box, and I'll answer them if I can. I know there is work for me in CAD, but I don't have the experience, skills or qualification. And that was certainly the case with one of my students, who's a mature student I had last year, whose father worked as an architect, and he'd been offered lots of jobs in CAD, but just didn't have the technical skills. So that's why he joined me for that year. Incidentally, I'll mention this because computer-aided design and gaming design have similar sort of software programs. It's sort of natural for a lot of young people, and certainly I've met in the past, who wanted to go into game design. And there's nothing wrong with that, but obviously it's trying to get, it's quite a competitive market. Now, I've mentioned at the bottom there's 2,280 gaming computers that are so far registered in the UK, of which maybe not all of them actually do computer graphics as part of that, maybe computer programming for games. Whereas with the number of engineering enterprises, it's written there, is well over 700,000. So, if you're hedging your bets on a skill that has the potential for getting you a job, it's probably better to do computer-aided design. And the options are wider for you there. So let's get on to the course itself. So the one that I'm responsible for is the City and Guilds 7689-08. Now, this is an amalgamation of 3 awards that City and Guilds would normally offer, or we used to offer, as evening courses. So what we did was we packaged them together and offered them as a full-time program. Any 2 awards will achieve a full certificate. So we do offer 3. The students only need to complete, well, not so much complete, but achieve 2 of them in an exam in order to achieve the certificate. The extra award would then be added on to the final completion of the program. These are vocational. City and Guilds courses are generally vocational programs, so they are less about assignments, more about showing practical skills and demonstrating your knowledge of the program through a short answer test. As I mentioned, it's a full-time 1-year course, which for this particular program is 2 days a week. And then if the students need to attain maths and English GCSEs to grade 4 because they're under the age of 18, which the government stipulates is the requirement, then they would spend an extra day or morning doing the English or maths subjects that they need to do. The assessment for this subject is a practical exam for each award and a short answer test, normally 10 questions regarding health and safety and the hardware associated with computers. And the minimum entry requirement, well, I've put at grade level, grade 3 maths and grade 2 English. Now, the thing is with engineering and computer-aided design, it's a communicative subject, and you've got to know that you can communicate. Well, there are elements of English that you have to be able to communicate in this subject. Maths, it does help if you can do basic addition and subtraction initially, but as you get higher up the level of engineering design, certainly if you go off to university, you need to be able to question whether the mathematics that a computer is generating is correct. So when you're simulating stress analysis, for example, you've got to know that you can work it out as well. But because CAD is such a wide, there are so many jobs at different levels, you don't necessarily need to go to university to get a job in this. So what are the differences in software and the awards that we do? We teach 2 programs, or we utilize 2 programs, AutoCAD and a program called Dassault Systems SolidWorks. Now, AutoCAD has been around since around 1981. It's well established, obviously, by now, primarily used in the construction industry. The program, the software developer, Autodesk, also produce a program called Revit, which has also become, sorry about that, the lights have just gone off on me. Oh, just get the lights back on. They also produce a program called Revit, and that's becoming very popular. It's a 3D program which allows the users to introduce virtual reality into the designs of their buildings as well. Dassault Systems is a program that's been around, well, SolidWorks has been around since around about 1985, I believe, and Dassault themselves are a massive company. They have the most number of CAD software design solutions in the world as regards who they offer it to. SolidWorks' bigger brother is called CATIA, which you may or may not have heard of, and that's used by the likes of Boeing and NASA and a lot of car manufacturers. So, and certainly if any students go off from the college to Coventry University to do aerospace engineering there, they cover CATIA as well. Okay, so let's just have a look at what kind of drawings the AutoCAD 2D level would cover. So you can see mainly construction drawings. I'm going to show you the kind of exam drawing that the students do, so it's not necessary to do with buildings, as you'll see. Now, SolidWorks looks a little bit more fancy. As you can see, that's a program that I use quite a lot as well. And you can see there it's very good for doing car design. And AutoCAD as well has its 3D ability, and you may typically use it for buildings. In fact, I know somebody who is looking for somebody to do large-scale TV monitors for cruise ships, and they want somebody to create 3D models in AutoCAD because that's their preferred software. Okay, so the good news is, as a student, you're entitled to download educational software for free. So we will, once you're enrolled on the program, your student email address can be used to access a website and download the software. Now, the only question you may be wondering is, well, will my computer run it? So what I've basically said there is any sort of gaming computer within the last 5 years should be fine. The spec is written at the bottom there. 16 gigabytes of RAM is ideal. A graphics card supercomputer game would be fine. The Intel chip or AMD equivalent, which is called, I'm trying to remember what it's called now. It begins with R. It's escaping me right now. It would be fine as well. Now, we use these little computers in the lower left-hand corner, which you may see. They're very compact, as you can see, compared to the scale of the pencil, and they have a dedicated graphics card, which is also NVIDIA, but it's called a P1000. It's not wouldn't be very suitable for computer gaming, even though it's a little nifty machine, but it's ideal for computer graphics. I've also listed over on the other side a computer that one of the students asked me about last week, and this was one that she got from Costco. So 16 gig of RAM, and it's sort of would be ideal. Okay, let's carry on. What else will I be doing to support me getting a job? So we have a number of other subjects that the students do while they're with us. One of the subjects is a design subject. You can see my colleague Michael, he creates a little project design brief where the students work together, research and develop the product as a design and 3D print it and test it. Now, I know that 2 years ago they were working on like a wind farm kind of machine, which they produced a little wind generator to put into the wind tunnel that we have here at the college, and to see how much electricity they could generate. So that was what they did with Michael. We have a subject called solar, where we have a time, I should say, allocated called solar, which is self-online learning essentially. The students basically design a project that they would find interesting. We have a number of topics that they can choose from, such as working on the design of their house, maybe even starting with drawing their bedroom or lounge in 3D, and then drawing the whole house if they want to, with the view to possibly even putting an extension on the building if they so wish. So, or even creating their own ideal house that, you know, if they one day have sufficient funds, they can afford to build their own house, they could design it while they're on the course. And one of the things I try and get the students to do is also put together a portfolio of their work. I treat this subject very much like an art student would. You know, when you go into an interview, one of the things that sells is the pictures themselves. It gives a talking point for the interviewee. or interviewer if they've got something to look at. So it helps, you know, very often in an interview situation, people are asked to see if they've got any questions to ask the interviewer. But if they take a portfolio, it often does a lot of the work for them. So it's a saving grace. We also get the students to do 1 week's work experience. Now, this is work experience that the students are encouraged to find themselves. We don't really tend to find it, but I would typically be typing in engineering companies with the postcode and seeing what engineering companies or architectural companies are in your area, and trying to get in touch with them via email or even calling. The other option is obviously if somebody knows anybody in the engineering world or architectural world who can get them some work. And lastly, we have a tutorial, which all courses have, and Hayley, who does the tutorials with us, she sort of goes through a lot of those preparation for work subjects that I mentioned there. The coursework that the students do. So over some years, I produced a number of workbooks, and these are what they look like. They're fairly straightforward to follow. I refer to them as my comic books in a way, because they have basically a short phrases and some diagrams to go along with those phrases that the students follow and work through. So these are the kind of topics that I cover. The last topic, as you'll see, is a little bit of a controversial subject, but you've got to appreciate this is a mock-up. It's about 30 millimeters in length. It has no working parts, and the workbook that I created, which is quite thick, is a sort of a challenge and has a sort of disclaimer at the front regarding Birmingham's history in the gun making business, and it has a little bit of a disclaimer regarding should kids be allowed to play with toy guns in this day and age. This is one of those subjects which is of interest obviously to students who are playing a lot of games like Call of Duty, and I've even got a lot of girls doing this subject, this particular drawing as well. They seem to choose it. It's one of the subjects that they choose of their own volition. So okay, assessment. So as regards AutoCAD, this is what they do for the exam. You can see it's not anything to do with the building, but it's an old steam locomotive. So that's the drawing that they actually end up producing to attain the award in this particular subject. For the SolidWorks subject, they produce this little children's sort of pushchair, sort of very modern design. The tutor that takes the students for this subject, Lawrence, he also teaches degree students, and he said himself that this is not, it may look quite simple, but it's actually quite challenging even for his degree students. So, but he has an entire year to do this, and they do complete it. And finally, for the level 3 AutoCAD exam, this is what they produce. The surface model is a little bit of a strange looking product, but that's what City and Guilds wanted us to get them to produce. And as obviously this is a soap dish here. I get the students doing a little bit more interesting subjects prior to this exam as regards AutoCAD 3D. And that way, when they get to do this, they find this reasonably easy to accomplish. Okay, progression routes. So from typically, they're either a school leaver or they've come from another course, or even a mature student who wants to update their resume, as the Americans call it. And they join us on this level 3 CAD course. Now, obviously, if they're under 18 and they haven't achieved grade 4 in English and Maths, then they'll need to do English and Maths as well. Some of our level 2 students, or even level 3 foundation diploma students who drop down onto the level 3 CAD, also will join us at this level. Then the options are opened. Once completing this course, they may decide to get work straight away. They may have a job lined up. They may be able to get an apprenticeship. We do get students who are actually on apprenticeships who come and do CAD with us as an evening course. Their work have sent them here as well. They may choose to study another course utilising the CAD skills that they've gained. So they may go and do civil engineering, might be an obvious one if they wanted to go into architecture. So they would switch over to the Blossomfield campus for that one. They could do the computer gaming design course over at Blossomfield as well, or they may do art and digital art over at the Blossomfield campuses as well. So there are options for them to study something else if they want to go in a different direction other than engineering once they've attained these skills. Many of our students who particularly came from level 2 engineering ultimately wanted to go into aircraft engineering, aircraft and aerospace engineering. So the route to that was to take the level 3 foundation diploma, which they needed a level 4 maths and English. Hopefully, by the time they've completed my course, that level 4 grade will have been attained so they can join the foundation diploma. That leads on to the extended diploma. Incidentally, at foundation diploma, the students do get to do CAD with me, both SolidWorks and AutoCAD. So if they've got prior knowledge, they can easily get through the assessment for that. That's one of the reasons also, because they do it with me, that they often decide that that's the career for them, and they go back or they go forward and do a level 3 CAD course with me in the following year rather than take the extended diploma. Students then have two options once they complete the extended diploma. They can go on to an HNC engineering course or go straight to university. And my colleagues who teach the extended diploma would probably give you the best university courses to go to there. Coventry is one that we deal with, certainly, so they can carry on with the degree with us. Apprenticeship students often come and do the HNC with us as well. So there are many ways that you can sort of go onto the HNC and then onto degree if that's the chosen route. I've mentioned there with the degrees, there are around, obviously the UK, there are courses in CAD CAM, motorsport design, aerospace and product design as well. So there are many options there. Typical student projects that they've done in the past. So I'm going to show you a few images. So this was a student called Corey Marshall who was with me a couple of years ago, and he sort of really, he was 16-year-old, left school, a very quiet student when he joined us, and he was very vocal by the end of it. He was really good at his presentations, and he had a thing about engines, old school steam engines, and so he produced these models from drawings that he researched himself online, as you can see. This was produced by a student called Andrew Williams, who was very much into the fantasy world, and he produced this model using SolidWorks. And a little project I gave him, actually, because Land Rover is so local to us, I said to him, Andrew, could you find an old school like a Land Rover from the 1950s and maybe have a go at drawing it in CAD, because it's got some nice sort of boxy shapes. And he did this. Now, he was he was 16 years old, about 16 and a half when he actually drew this from the little blueprint that he managed to find in the lower left-hand corner. I didn't help him at all. He's done all the dashboard, the gear stick, everything inside. So I was so impressed with it, I decided to make it into an exercise for my new students to do. And it seems it's working. Other students in the past have done little projects themselves, because one of the exercises I get them to do is to do a fragrance bottle. And I set the students a sort of task. If you were an aerospace engineering student and you wanted to be excited about fragrances, aftershaves or perfumes, what kind of design would you like to see? So this guy went with something that was very stealth fighter shaped, and it was another stealth fighter shaped bottle. And then obviously other students doing memory sticks built into wing sections of aircraft. Another student who was into Star Wars, Star Trek, and another guy who wanted to do a sort of a leather felt sort of JLR mobile phone case for his phone. So he's created the phone and the case himself. So final thoughts. Well, the government have been stipulating that there is a shortage of engineers, as you may have heard. And so I just wanted to reiterate that, you know, as much as there are going to be engineers who need to cut metal and actually manufacture things, there is also a shortage of design engineers. So it seems relevant that we get into this field. The other thing, I found this on a job agency. This is one of many job agencies. I looked this up 2 days ago, in fact, and you'd look at technical agencies, technical job agencies for this, and this particular one has 641 jobs available. So you know there are jobs out there if you're willing to take this on board. One additional thing that I've been asked to talk about is that the fact that the college is a member of the Institutes of Technology. So if I just read through this and show you a short video. The government is establishing high quality institutes of technology, IoTs. They will be backed by £170 million of government investment to fund industry standard facilities and equipment. The Greater Birmingham and Solihull IoT specialises in engineering and manufacturing and was developed to incorporate all further educational colleges and higher educational institutes in the region. The IoT is also advised by a group of employers and stakeholders to ensure that it is employer-led and responds to requirements of the area. Solihull College and University Centre's engineering courses will be approved by the Greater Birmingham and Solihull Institute of Technology. They will provide employers with a skilled workforce and students with a clear route to technical employment. So the key thing here is not just offering courses that are where the awarding bodies sort of dictate what we're supposed to cover. It's also liaising with employers and getting their feedback and intuition into what they want our students to learn. So with that, I'm just going to show you this short video from YouTube, and then we'll come back to me in just a second.
We're opening institutes of technology, which are a new type of provider delivering high quality technical education and a clear route to high skilled employment. Each one is a partnership between further education colleges, universities and businesses, created to deliver the skills and qualifications that employers need. The Institute of Technology will specialise in technical subjects across industries, such as engineering, manufacturing, digital and construction, and have access to cutting-edge facilities and equipment. The first institutes are already open, and more will roll out across England over the coming years. Visit gov.uk to find out more.
That's it. So that's it. We're the first of the first batch of 12 colleges that were chosen. So we're very pleased and proud to be part of that joint venture. Okay, Q&A time. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. So if anyone's got any questions, oh, we have one question already. Let's have a look. Is the course for students under 18 only? No, it's definitely not for students under 18. In fact, we've had mature students. I think 30 years old was the, it was a gentleman in his 30s we had 2 years ago, who's now working in London. And in fact, last year we had a gentleman, Sean, who I mentioned earlier. He was the guy who had job opportunities, but it didn't have the experience and technical skills. So he joined the course and attained those skills, and has hopefully got a job by now. Is there any other questions? Feel free to put those in. I shall wait here for another minute or so. How can I apply? Okay, so if you contact the Solihull College either via the website, would probably be the best way to do that. You can apply via the college, through the college website. You could obviously call us as well. Yep, I've had it confirmed. Apply on website. How many people in a class? Well, this year we had, well, in fact, last year we had 13, and this year we have around about 13 as well, which at the moment is working fine. We can facilitate 24 under normal circumstances. Had there not been a certain pandemic going around, it may have been fine. But To be honest, in the foundation diploma, we have 20 students in the class, and they form the part of the bubble, so everything works fine. So we could sort of stretch it further than more than 20 if need be. We have 24 computers here, certainly, but 13 is the current answer. Any more questions? We have, do students provide their own Macs or PCs? Ah, right, okay. Well, we have these computers in-house. Students normally provide their own machines, so you know it is one of these. I think every student that I have had this year, I asked them that question: were they able to run? Apart from I think one student wasn't able to run CAD, so they were totally reliant on coming into college. But most of them have some sort of computer. I often get students who come to me and say, what is the ideal spec for a computer? And either if they're obviously mature and they've got some sort of funds themselves, they go and get themselves one, or parents will oblige in getting them a computer. Now, the only issue would be obviously Mac. I think it was on one of the slides. I didn't really clarify that. AutoCAD is available for Mac and PC, so it's ideal. Certainly if you're wanting to go into the construction industry, AutoCAD is the one you want to focus on. SolidWorks, the only way you can run it on a Mac is to install a program called VirtualBox, which is a free download bit of software, and there are videos on YouTube all to do with how you install that. Yes, the college has 3D printing capabilities. We've got two 3D printers here at the college. We've got a large industrial one, which I use quite a lot, and we have a smaller one called an Ultimaker S5, which we purchased last year. And in fact, if you just bear with me a second, this is a model of a Formula One car that one of the students printed out on that very machine, and it was a student from the CAD course last year who did that. I don't know if there's any other questions. When does the next term start? Well, that will be in September. So this is really for next year. This will be. So this is like obviously getting interest early on as an option. So as particularly those who are in their final year at school, to think about what their options are once they get their GCSE grades, whether they want to go onto a program like the foundation diploma, or maybe take on computer-aided design if they find that of interest. I can't emphasize enough how much of an enjoyment it's been for myself over the last 30-something years I've been using CAD. I put it in very much sort of, it's like playing games, but you're doing something that you can earn money at. Your mind is constantly working, solving problems in an enjoyable way, and certainly my students, once they get their teeth into a project, you can see the excitement that they get from it, and it's certainly keeping my mind active as I sort of get into those older years of my life. Yeah. As you can see probably from my drawings as well, my spacecraft that I was working on earlier, I'm still getting a bit of a kick out of doing it. If there are no more questions, please feel free to apply for this course, even as an option to get into an interview. There's nothing stopping students in applying for more than one course. So I hope you enjoyed the session, and hopefully we'll be hearing from you again in the future. What was that? That's it, I think. What does the next time start? That's it. Well, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure, and we'll sign off then. Cheers.